The windows for each of the rooms were stained glass and corresponded with the hue of the decorations residing in them. The first apartment's tapestries were blue, and so vividly blue were the windows. The second had purple ornaments, so the windows were stained with purple. The rooms followed this way in the order of green, orange, white, violet, and black. But the black chamber was different. The color of the windows failed to correspond with the decorations. The window panes were blood red, yet the room was filled with darkness. In none of the 7 apartments was there light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers, but in the corridors that followed, there stood, opposite to each window, a heavy tripod bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass and so glaringly illuminated the room. This light produced a multitude of fantastic appearances. But in the black chamber, the effect of the firelight that streamed through the blood-tinted panes was so extreme that it produced such a wild look upon the faces of those who entered, though there were few bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. It was in this apartment, also, that there stood against the western wall a giant clock of ebony, perhaps the clock of life. Its pendulum swung to and fro with a dull, heavy, and monotonous clang. It was so significant that at the lapse of each hour, the musicians of the orchestra would pause in their performance to listen to the sound. And thus the waltzers ceased their waltzing, and while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the joyful grew pale, and the more aged passed their hands over their brows as if in confused meditation or daydream. But when the echoes had fully ceased, light laughter of the partygoers filled the assembly. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then the same disconcert and trembling and meditation as before.